call to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I guess I'm ready to go. Took me a second to put faces on everything, but I've got it all taken care of at this point. With that said, the approval of the agenda, I guess the first thing. If we have any questions,
Make sure we're all looking at the same one.
we have a green one. The only difference is number 5. Under new business, the way I see it. That's the administrator vacancy position.
Motion to approve the agenda dated October 8, 2018, for regular village council meeting.
Support.
McCafferty?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Baraco?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
Yes. Let's go ahead and move right along to the approval of the minutes. And the first one is the regular council meeting, September 10th, 2018.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes dated September 10th, 2018.
Support.
Anything else?
McCafferty?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Baraco?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
Yes. With that said, let's go to the approval of the special meeting, September 25th, 2018. Have any questions, comments? Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes dated September 25th, 2018.
Support. Anything else?
McCafferty?
Yes.
White?
I'm going to abstain, I was absent.
Baraco?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
The purple sheet is the treasurer's report for this evening.
I just got one question, I don't know if Tracy can answer. In the general fund, last month we had $312,000 and some change. This month we got $576, and Jackie did state that we received a deposit. Do we know where that deposit was from?
I don't recall.
I'll come in later this week to ask you.
It could be taxes.
And I think it has something to do with the state.
Oh, sorry, I don't know.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report dated October 9th, 2018.
Support.
Anything else? I'd just like to say she also put in your packet that budget report. If that helped you out, if you look at
I glanced through and I didn't see it, but
that. Maybe you
it
could
doesn't mean it's not in there.
Tracy and work that out. If there's nothing else, roll call please.
McCafferty?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Baraco?
Yes.
Dick?
No.
Baldwin?
We have bills and transfers, which is the green sheet.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills and transfers dated September 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2018.
Support.
Anything else?
McCafferty?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Baraco?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
Yes. And now I'd like to welcome Wade Trim here. We have a little presentation, if you would, gentlemen.
copies of items for circulation. So good evening, my name is Jason Kenyon, and I'm with Way Trim, and with me tonight is Kevin Cook, and wanted to update the council on a number of engineering-related items that are in progress or in the works. I put a small packet together, some of the things of which you probably have in your packet. I think the one real single item that's formally on the agenda is the Hegel Road improvement projects, and these are projects in which the village is applying for federal transportation funding. One of which was originally applied by the village in 2015. We're calling that the Hegel Road West project. And again, in 2015, an application was made and was not successful. So right now is the time for Genesee County Metro Planning Commission is asking for a call for projects again for the same type of transportation-related funds. And so a proposal was prepared by Spicer Engineering, another consultant that would help scope the project, develop a detailed cost estimate, an opinion of construction cost, and complete that programming application. So I know that's the one item that's on the formal agenda tonight.
And the reason that we have to go through Spicer to do that?
So, yeah, so to clarify, so Wade Trim's been the village engineer for a number of years, and because there's federal and state dollars that would be part of that, the Federal Highway Administration has a conflict of interest requirement where the city engineer can't prepare the programming application of the project and design and oversee the project. So therefore, another consultant has to come into play to do either one or the other. And so in 2015, Spicer was the consultant the village hired to do the scope of the Hegel Road West project at the time. And so the proposal that the council has in their packets is for two items from Spicer. One would be to update the opinion of construction cost from 2015 and update, there's a new programming application that's required by the county. So to update that grant application package. And then the second would be to scope out the Hegel Road East project in a similar fashion. Prepare a scope, cost estimate, and complete the application.
And the approximately, how much would this cost for both of these?
A lump sum of $4,750.
Okay. There's been talk in the community why we're not going with Plan B, and I think it's been referred to as putting a Band-Aid on our roads prior to applying for this. Would you like to?
Yeah, to I guess address council, the general principles behind trying to rehabilitate your road system is to try to get out ahead of the problem. Just like anything else, preventative maintenance will buy you many more years on your infrastructure and your road system on your own homes. And so in the case of the village, all of the roads are in varying levels of condition, and there's certainly a time for when there can be a preventative repair done, and that's where you see where cracks are filled, joints are filled or repaired and filled, and then there's a thin layer of asphalt that goes over top. Those are short-term solutions to fixing the roads. In a lot of cases, there is a condition or a problem in the subbase of the road. So if you don't fix that condition, you're not really going to fix the problem. You're just putting a Band-Aid fix on that road. Okay, so you might buy yourself 3 to 5 years of a new surface. It looks good at the beginning. It's a new asphalt, but over a small amount of time, that road will continue to deteriorate, and you'll start to see cracks and potholes and all those things form quite quickly. So what we'll usually do is try to evaluate the roads or a particular road to try to determine what kind of fix is necessary. It could be a repair type fix, it could be a partial rehabilitation type fix, or it could be a full reconstruction. And sometimes that's dependent on the utilities underneath the road, if those also need to be fixed. It could be that the road doesn't drain well, and so we have to take care of that storm water, so water's not trapped. So there's a combination of all those different variables that go into a recommendation on what type of repair is recommended or desired. And the costs associated with that obviously are wide ranging.
If we apply for the grants now, how long would you guess before the improvements would, if we were to receive the grant, how long before it would take place?
I believe the call for projects is for the fiscal years from 2020 to 2023. So the process for being notified that you are awarded the funds, and then the process to go through the design and the bidding process, typically that's about a year. And these projects are bid through the state, they're bid through MDOT. So the plans are designed and specifications are put together in accordance with the MDOT standards, and that they have a pretty detailed design and approval process, and generally, again, that's about a year process.
And last for me anyway, if we were to go ahead and improve the roads before they came out and assessed our roads as far as how bad they are, could that affect us getting the grant?
I'm not sure I understand.
Like if we're not in dire need of road repair, will they not do it? But they say, no, you're not bad enough.
If we improve the roads enough to where they take it and they classify it to where it's not a major necessity at this point.
We were told if we're not bad enough, they'll skip us kind of thing.
Well, there's a scoring system that goes into the application. It's based on the use of the road and the condition of the road and a number of other variables. So if you were to go out and put a thin coat of asphalt on today to buy yourself a few more years, the programming application and scoring, it goes in today. So as long as you're not talking about paving the road tomorrow, then it would be what it is when it goes in. But again, if you're planning to do a major fix or a longer term fix, those dollars might not be as well spent to go put a thin layer on today. And I shouldn't say they're due today, they're due about mid-November, so we have about a month to get those applications submitted to the county.
Council, questions? I didn't mean to take all of them, but.
You're asking for them.
Real quickly, we'll take a couple from the audience if you will. Please, Mr. Troy.
I brought this up last meeting. The feeling is that Hegel Road is the premier roadway in the village. Want it to look nice and so forth, and there were some questions, comments from the council. This is very important for people coming through and what businesses or people who want to relocate here. This is what they would look at. As you would get a house, you'd look at basically what's going on, right?
Sure.
So if we wait 2 years and hope to get the grant, and we don't have it, you've had 2 years of the existing the way it looks, right? And that was the big question. Do we want to have it look the way it has for an extended period of time? My question is, why was the West Hegel denied when we went to get funding for that?
I don't have a real good answer for you on that tonight. I know that, again, there's a scoring system in place. It's very competitive through all the communities in the county, and I was told that we didn't make the list, we didn't score high enough.
So if you can't compare the west to the east, if you didn't get it for the west and we're in the same condition, I would say there's a pretty good chance you're not going to get the money either.
Just
More dollars.
Yeah, it costs more dollars, right? So I think it's a matter of, and it also is a matter of how many other applicants come in from
How bad
across.
their roads are.
Yeah,
Right. If somebody else beat us out because their roads were in worse condition than what Hegel Road was.
I
Kevin,
think they're allocating more dollars.
there's more dollars that exist today than there were in the previous 3-year cycle.
The state is loading it.
And your feeling would be, if you had to make a judgment call on this? I know you don't want to go
I
there.
don't like to make
You
judgments,
don't
and,
wanna
you
go
know, the roads have gotten worse, right? So your ratings have gone down, which makes, you know, that part of the scoring higher for the village.
Good, Mark, I thought that was discussed at the last meeting, that we actually scored worse this time than we did last.
It depends on other roads too, if they're even worse than what our roads are. But he's right though, there is more money this time, so I guess it's kind of a roll of the dice in a sense. Anyone else?
On a curve, in essence?
Well, the road ratings, I think your statement is correct, is every so often the county will come through and they'll do a re-rating of each of the segments of roads. So the segments that we're talking about have further deteriorated. So it's on a 10-point scoring system where 10 is the best and 1 is the worst. And so they, you know, have dropped down another notch. But that's how the roads are evaluated.
Council, anyone else? Audience? I thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
I guess with that said, we'll open up the first round of public comment. We've got a full agenda. We stay with agenda items only, and I am going to limit you to 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Attorney Tabitha Marsh, and my address is 30006 Gregory Street, Grand Blanc, but it's actually in Mundy Township. I'm here tonight because I'd like to introduce myself because I am running for Genesee County Circuit Court Judge on the November 6th ballot. You all will notice that there are actually 2 judicial races going on the November 6th ballot. There are 2 seats in the open race and there's 1 seat in the incumbent race. In the open race, there were 8 candidates after their primary. There were 4 candidates seeking 2 seats. That's a completely separate race than the one I am participating in. In my race, there are 2 candidates seeking 1 seat. And in December of 2017, Judge Archie Heyman retired. That left a vacancy for his seat. And in February of this year, Governor Richard Snyder appointed Celeste Bell to the Judge Heyman seat, and she's now seated in that seat. I am the only candidate that is running against her for that seat because I would like to see the residents of Genesee County choose their judge as opposed to that decision being made for us. So I have elected to run for that seat so that the seat is in the hands of the voters and residents of Genesee County as opposed to the decision being made by one person. Just by way of a little background, I was born in Flint, Michigan, spent the majority of my life in Genesee County. I have 4 generations of family members that resided in the Genesee County area. My husband and I are raising our children in Genesee County as well. I'm a graduate of the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. I have a Bachelor's of Business Administration degree from there. I went on to law school at Michigan State University College of Law, came back to Genesee County, clerked for Judge John Godola and Michael Thiele, and I also have worked for a couple of law firms and opened my own law office, which is operating today in the Mott Foundation building in downtown Flint. One of the things that is important to me, number one, is that we have a resident, someone that is from Genesee County seated in that seat as opposed to someone who does not have roots in Genesee County. I also believe in righteousness and true justice. Our youngest child's name is Justice. It's because we truly, honestly believe in justice and having a sense of faith, having a sense of integrity and honesty. In my judicial race, because I've elected to run against the incumbent, I've encountered all different types of intimidation tactics and threats, but nevertheless, we stand strong for the residents of Genesee County to be able to make the choice as to who they want to be seated in that judicial seat. Thank you very much. I do have some literature here. If I can hand it to your clerk, perhaps she can give it to you all for distribution. Thank you.
So Michigan or Michigan State band then?
I'd like to reserve until after the election.
Did you name your child that knowing this time and year you're running?
I had no idea.
Because that was good. That was way pre-planned.
Anyone else? Not, I'm going to close the public comment. We'll go into unfinished business. Number one, the police report.
Police report was distributed to all the council members. Looks like it's been a busy month. More of the same out at the group homes in the township. I think there was a couple of additional abbreviations that, I don't know if anybody caught the UDAA, unlawfully driving away an automobile or a stolen car. And I think MDOP, malicious destruction of property. I forgot to include those in the email.
Anything else, sir? I'd like to thank you again. You do a fantastic job seeing to it that we get those reports. And you are right, the last couple, 3 months have been pretty busy. Lock your doors, watch your neighbor's house.
Yeah, word from the sheriff's department. We live in a great neighborhood, but there's still people out there that like to take advantage of unlocked cars and driveways. They just try to walk through the neighborhood. If it's unlocked, they'll take CDs, they'll take things on your front seat, they'll steal the change out of your ashtray, just whatever they can get. And kind of an opportunistic pedestrian, I guess.
What's a CD?
Sorry. Some of us still in the Stone Age still have those.
Isn't that something that you purchase at the bank?
Yeah. Money.
And thank you for that. Number two is the reports from our street administrator.
Thank you for Wade Trim coming out tonight. We had a very productive meeting last week. It was nice to meet both of you guys. Looking forward to working with you in the future. DPW, I know it's been real busy. I've seen you guys up and down Dutch Road. Looked like you've been doing a lot of trimming, cutting the brush back along the streets. Both of them have been out there just really humping and got everything looking really sharp around the town. Very nice, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I was speaking to a resident the other day in Mill Point Shores who had made a comment about the sidewalks along M15 and the grass cutting in between the sidewalk and the streets and how it's looking pretty shady. Not shady, just not pretty. And I had contacted the offices to ask if DPW could go out there and maybe edge the sidewalks and take a look at the grassy areas and make sure that they were maintained. Because it is along M15, it is our community, we should keep it looking nice, that's the entry point of the village. And from my understanding, they have started doing that type of stuff, or they're going to be doing that type of stuff. And I was just wondering if anybody has any feedback on whether or not that's been completed, so I can let this person know.
I have it on our list of areas that the DPW maintained when we were looking for the snowplow areas. I was saying when we were looking for the snowplow, we'll structure that road down there is what we were looking at the DPW do for sidewalk purposes. So I'm getting to your point that the DPW should be mowing it if we're maintaining it.
Right, in the past, because I was going through old notes that I have, and it was always mentioned that it was, because it's on M15, it's MDOT's responsibility. That to me has always been kind of a lame excuse. It's our community. If we want it to look nice, we need to go, above what is MDOT. I mean, the road is MDOT, but the grassy areas
I
and
guess
stuff.
I'm not exactly sure where you're talking about. Are you
In
talking
front
about
of,
South of town, north of town?
it would be,
down
it would
here?
be south of town, across the street from the post office, in particular, Mill Point Shores, the
Okay.
subdivision there. They have it looking beautiful. The
I saw
sign-
them out there.
the
doing their
sign-
own thing.
Okay, good. So was that today?
No, that was last weekend. They were out there and
Okay.
actually like it was a gentleman and 2 ladies and a couple kids.
That was residents in the subdivision that volunteered to do that.
Yeah, they were
And-
like, they were
Yeah,
really.
no, and, I had called today to ask if they could either go out there today or at some point. And, I don't know, again, I don't know, I haven't heard back, but I haven't been next to my phone either to know if I've heard back. But, it's a focal point, you know, when you're coming around that curve, just north of Green Road, right when you pass the car wash, boom, there's sidewalks, and grass should be maintained, sidewalks should look nice, and some parts of the sidewalk, because I walked out there, it looked like we had a 2-lane road going down to a bike path. There was a lot of overgrowth on the sidewalk. So, I don't know, just to make the community look a little nicer, if DPW, and going back to because I was hijacked, I was going back through notes, and yeah, it was always MDOT's, you know, that was always it was the canned response, it was MDOT's responsibility.
And I would say that in the past, that is pretty much always the response that I got. Going forward, I would say that our DPW, if it is MDOT's responsibility, should be calling MDOT daily and reminding them of their responsibility to take care of that. I do believe that the guys did go out there and start a little bit along the guardrails today. And once again, it's our community, and I understand I'm not supposed to take care of it, but, you know, it's our community, it's our image, and I think we should encourage our DPW to do whatever they have to do.
Well,
If they can't call and get a response, then take it upon themselves.
the question I have, if there's a sidewalk that's broken or cracked or raised, would we take responsibility for it, going down M15? Because the explanations I always got with MDOT, that the road's MDOT. I don't necessarily know that the sidewalk. is
Right, I
grass.
would think.
They control the shoulders too. If you remember, we tried to do the tower, and not intervene with the tower, they want to put it in too. I'm not sure. Good question. And once again, you can kind of direct your DPW new superintendent to find out those answers. And to see to it that M15 is taken care of. Are we good with all of this?
Yeah, and I know if the guys did go out there and maintain those, they'd probably get lots of kudos from the residents in that subdivision, because they're the ones that use those sidewalks the most, I would imagine. They live right there. So I said I would mention it. I've gone to bat.
Number 3 is park and recs, if we could. I don't have a report on those, I guess I should have said that, my apologies. I have no report.
I have a report for Parks and Rec. I don't know, there was a really nice article in the Citizen last week about the Friendship Path, and article and picture, and it's been on Facebook and stuff. But we're still looking for a project leader to help with the stairs that need to be built on the steep hill on the Friendship Path. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we're still looking for somebody just to get us started. You know, we have volunteers that can help with the stairs. Somebody to come in with the knowledge to start it would be great, so I'm gonna put that out there. Thank you.
Yes, there's
Mark, a good question. Are we gonna be able to see any blueprints, designs, bidding, or anything like that before volunteers come in and start actually building? My understanding of phase 1 was just actually clearing the path they're going down through there, not actually doing any kind of construction other than birdhouses and stuff like that was discussed, and putting some benches. That part is still, if not mistaken, under council's control and village liability. Got to go through the process of putting actual structures in the park.
Right, I would agree.
Yeah, so I was a little
Especially
alarmed.
something in,
Is it in a master plan or something, or is it?
something like stairs.
Right, I was a little alarmed to see looking for project volunteers in the paper when they haven't even got the council's attention yet.
And I agree with you with stairs, they probably should do a little bit, there should be something that goes in front of the council, and the council's okay. Liability with stairs there, so you can't fall or get hurt, actually. I assume that's all part of the idea that they're looking for, some kind of some project leaders, and with that, they can work with council, I hope, and come up with the information needed to keep everybody safe.
So, if I may, I don't want to give a direction, but we give a direction to the Parks and Rec Committee that they have to get the approval before any kind of construction takes place.
I do believe that they're under that understanding that before they can develop anything out there, that, you know, you present it to council, get their approval. And I agree with Mr. Vick, especially stairs. I mean, we need to know what you're putting in the handrails, and they should be, you know, code compatible.
We have left the building inspector on them. So we have reviewed the codes and stuff we need to follow, so we do know that.
As far as it's presented to council, I mean, council's been very understanding, leading, and I think they support everything we do. It's just good to be, everybody's on the same page, no surprises.
I have one thing. I know we're gonna talk about the Halloween hours in a minute, but, did you guys end up doing anything for the, parade that Mark asked you guys to do?
I think he was serious to go out there and give out hot chocolate. Is that what you're
I'm
referring to?
always serious on that. Anything that we can do for the community, I think that's part of the Park and Rec's responsibility.
Well, the reason why I asked is, and I know we're getting towards like a fall time and we got Halloween coming up. I actually called Swartz Creek, this little city of Genesee, Warrentville, and I looked at your guys' time and minutes, and you guys really don't have a lot of meetings for the last year. I'm a little concerned. I'd like to kind of energize you guys because we have the largest Parks and Rec committee in the area, but we have not done one public event in over a year and a half. So I would like for you guys to kind of go back and look at what can we do. It doesn't have to cost money, but the citizens want events, but we have no events. I don't know what you guys are meeting for besides one grant that we got, but you know, Swartz Creek does movies in the park. Warrentville, they do similar stuff. They're doing a hayride. I just don't understand what the Parks and Rec's doing. You guys only met like 6 times in the last 12 months. What can we do to help you guys do more events?
We've met every month except summer. And Gear was having the food truck on Thursdays.
Yeah, but this is Parks and Rec. This has nothing to do with
On the
that.
third Thursday, that interfered with our meeting. So there was not enough members there to do anything for a quorum, because the same members were doing both events. The members of Gear were the same members on the Parks and Rec. So that impeded us too.
And maybe you guys should come up with an idea as far as how you
I'm in
can.
full support of Gear. I think Gear is doing a great job and kind of has taken over those events, like you're saying, because we had talked about that in the Parks and Rec about breaking off and having a 501. And I mean, we did have more of the projects to take care of, a grant, you just said like a grant. That's a huge grant, it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had 2 people work on their grant, which was over 2 years ago when I started.
Yeah, it's still going on, we're still waiting for the variance. And
I would just like to see you guys do more. I know when I was on Parks and Rec before, I was not being able to get on there. Within the 6 months I was there, I held 2 events, which raised over $3,000.
Yeah, I know. You
Okay,
did a
no,
great job.
I'm not here to go back and forth and debate.
Yeah.
He said, she said.
Look at all the
We got
work that's
open dialogue, and
happening in
I
Friendship,
normally don't do this. And so I'm gonna stop it right there. I would encourage that anything that you guys can do, you know, I think the council should stand behind you. And once again, I'll throw it back up, Halloween's coming, and if you could put together something, you know, anything you do to bring the community together, and I'll do whatever I can to help you.
Yes, well, getting support of the board would be helpful.
And we will be very supportive, bring it to us, and we will do it.
I was looking at their minutes here, and there's discussions following on ADA railings being required on both sides of the path, and that's the path for the DNR grant that's going down. My question is, that wasn't looked at prior to applying for this grant, because it looks like there's gonna be more monies that's gonna be needed added to this grant. So I know that this council asked for plans and drawings and all this fun stuff, engineering costs and all this, and we still haven't received anything, so it's like we have a grant that we motioned to get approved for, and the project's kind of going forward, and now we're getting into the hiccup phase. So I'm wondering is there gonna be more costs associated that's supposed to be coming?
And I do believe that as you go forward in these grants, you're gonna find more and more things that are gonna surface that you have to do. I don't see how you could know everything, but you were also pushed on a deadline on when they had to do that and push it in there. So if you can,
The handrails were always in the grant. Our engineers are right here. The handrails were always in the grant, that's not something new. The cost of metal has gone up. We know that.
But in the, and I'm not trying to go back and forth, so I'm directing at you on here. The committee members asked to look at what type of rails and materials are used in parks and bring suggestions back to the committee. That is something when you're applying for a handicap path going down something, knowledge should already be had. I'm confused on why, I don't know, this is what's holding us up. It sounds like you have more of an easement issue that's actually holding up the process. But a lot of this stuff, if time is taken and not rushed, we don't fall into these hiccups.
and I'm not sure, you know, thinking back on all, everything that was presented in that, in the grant and the plans to go forward with it. And, you know,
So thank you for providing minutes.
I asked for them.
No.
I think if you can, you know, try and get the blessing of council, and I support everything you do, and I'm sure the council will. And Halloween's right around the corner. All right, let's go forward. Code enforcement.
I'm looking for our attorney. I've been looking for him for a month. I've got 2 complaints started in May. I was off of an injury. And 2 months ago I got back and the complaints are still there. I talked to him September 1st and told him I'd give him a month to clean it up. If it isn't cleaned up, I think it's time to issue tickets Jackie's been trying to get a hold of the attorney, and I think Mr. Baldwin's been trying to get a hold of the attorney. And I don't even know if we've got the right tickets. I don't know, you know, what my authority's gonna be when I go up and ask them for a driver's license, if that's possible. I don't know. That's why I need to meet with an attorney.
And I kind of talked to Dave before the meeting, and I have been trying to get a hold of Mr. McKinney, and I've had little or no success. I'm going to try tomorrow, and if I don't have any luck with that, I am going to go to the Williams firm, and I will find out what Mr. Winfield has to say, and I will report back to council on Friday at our special meeting.
Can we just make a motion to just go ahead and do that?
If that's fine with council. If I can't get Mr. McKinney, I'll make a
How many
motion.
times have you tried?
I would say just order.
I'm gonna say probably a minimum of 3 times. Last week sometime, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, raise strikes, you're out.
How many times have you tried?
I haven't tried Jackie's.
No, Jackie is trying. And I know Jackie did talk to him last week, but I don't think he's done anything.
I'd like to make a motion to hire Mr. Lynch to handle this situation.
Support.
Anything else?
Appreciate that was
Surprise.
Which,
to meet with.
To hire Winship
To assist with the code enforcement.
We were supposed to get together with, I think, a code enforcement officer from Holly,
I believe it was.
and get together and look at tickets and see what the procedure is, and like I said, it hasn't happened yet.
And I'm going to add to the motion through Mr. Baldwin. If I may.
Council,
hire Attorney Winship to assist with code enforcement through Mr. Baldwin.
For ticket issuing process.
Period.
There we go. That's probably a minute.
Anybody else have a couple words to throw in
No,
there?
we're gonna-
So who seconded it?
Shannon. I don't know, is it Monday? I didn't get coffee today, I'm off.
Are we all set with everything? If not, let's go ahead and roll call.
McCafferty?
Yes.
Light?
Yes.
Baraco?
Yes.
Crick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Administrator, the only thing that I want to make sure we touch on is the Halloween hours from 6 to 7:30. And I gave council minutes from October 10th of 2016. And it just says in there that, once again, Halloween hours will be 6 to 7:30 p.m. as in the past. And this has been the policy of the village for a while. And I just did that, so go back a couple of years and understand. And I don't think we need any, just a consensus.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the Halloween hours from 6 to 7:30 as it has been in past years.
Support.
Be
Any
legit, folks.
discussion?
McCafferty?
Yes.
Light?
Yes.
Baraco?
Yes.
Baldwin?
Yes. The sidewalks, which I think we kind of talked on those.
Want me to mention it again?
I think we're pretty good on that one. Everybody agrees? All right. Number 7 is appointment of DPW superintendent. Council, how do you want to go forward? I guess we can say to everyone that we performed the interviews last Thursday, was that right?
Yes.
I had 4 people, interviews went down, they were very well done. Impressed with the 4 people that interviewed. I guess council, how impressed were you? Who impressed you the most?
I have some notes here. We can speak names at this point.
You can
right?
speak names?
Okay, Mr. Main's interview, he had an extensive list of improvements that he had noticed: downtown district, curbing, paving, debris sweeping, tree trimming, and grounds maintenance. He constantly mentioned the importance of relationships with residents and communication with residents. He's been a DPW worker for 18 years. He's qualified, so there would be no learning curve. He made suggestions as to contact the local sheriff's office to get a report about road condition, and just longevity with his current position. There was even public comment that was mentioned about how nice the village was looking, and that's under Matt's leadership. Mr. DeBerg, he had some water and sewer budget, but that to me seemed more like the administrator job. I think he would be a good administrator. Improvements, he didn't take the initiative to drive through town, so he didn't have any. And just the way that he was answering questions, although very knowledgeable, just seemed he was more a behind the desk kind of person. He made comments such as show up as a village official, get employees out there working how you would, and reinforce crews and employees to reach out to the residents. Mr. Hershaw made mentions of road improvements such as the road striping, grading the side roads, the sidewalks, being plowed. Seems like a good people person. Didn't display any advanced tasks that the superintendent position would require. Aaron made comments on road work improvements, paving, sealing, and the sealing of roads and sidewalks. Mentioned to communicate better with residents. He definitely has experience, and he has, he said that he has some ideas, and he would share those ideas if he was hired. My recommendation would be for, and you know what, I'll make a motion to have Mr. Matt Main become the new DPW supervisor. based on his current qualifications. He's been doing the job for 18 years. He knows the community. He has longevity within the community. He's been through the ups and downs. Clearly, he can handle the niceness and the not so niceness within the community. He hasn't turned his back on Goodrich.
So are you gonna repeat that for me?
I make a motion to have Mr. Matt Main become the DPW supervisor based on his qualifications and longevity within the community.
Still right. Fit in line. Support.
Motion and support for Mr. Main. We are going to continue on with discussion.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So, my recommendation would be Mr. Goodrich. I think he has the experience that we're looking for. I don't want to say we want to do a status quo in the hiring process here, but he has scheduled road projects. We got a lot of projects that we want coming up. It sounds like he's very familiar with those processes, including getting grants for those that needed to. We have surface water issues currently going on here in the village. He knows those. He's been in the field a very long time, and I think we actually had a gem that kind of falls in our lap. We have a gentleman that's got an opportunity to provide some further training for our other DPW worker or workers, whether they come in the future. He also has certified public manager certification from Saginaw Valley State. And we have hiring him, I think we have the availability of maybe taking some work off the administrator to where we could possibly have a fully functioning DPW department. And everything that I've been told, walking door to door and just people on the street, is that the village was created because they wanted the DPW. And that was really the primary role, and I think we gotta get back to that. Because as some residents have stated, when you're driving through this town, that's the focal point. That's, they don't see really what the administrator folks do, in our clerks and our deputies and whatnot, which they do a good job, but they don't get to see that. They get to see what the DPW does. And I think this guy, I don't want to say this almost overqualified, but he's the guy that we're looking for. I'll pause there.
When you say to assist with the administrator, my thought was find out if he would like to be the administrator or come in for an interview as the administrator, because he does have, I think he's overqualified for the DPW supervisor. I think he would do outstanding as an administrator. He has those roles where he would make a great person in the office to direct people as to what they should be focusing on. He says that he's dealt with residents within the community. He helped with the setting up of a new computer system, and he helped with budgeting. I mean, he has a lot of administrative roles, like what I'll call like in the office, kind of in the weeds desk work, more so than what I could see like in the field experience.
And my response to that is that both of these jobs ran in the paper at the same time, and he chose to go to the DPW. So I think he thinks his field's probably stronger there. And that means bringing up help with the administrators, that you see the word budgets in here. All the candidates that interviewed in here, when we asked on budget questions, really didn't have anything to say on how they would budget. And we've all been through the budget before, and all we get is DPW major, minor roads, but I would like to, and I have asked, and I think this guy can do this for us, give us a breakdown of where we can save money and actually show us a budget that the DPW is spending. When it comes to gas, like we've asked, how many hours are actually spending here, how much salt is used, how much asphalt is used, how many times we got to rent the equipment from, I believe it's Davidson, when we have the asphalt, not the asphalt, but the sealer that comes down. So we need to look outside the box on this, and not somebody that can just cut grass and pick up limbs. We gotta have somebody that can actually bring the DPW back to what it once was when Gordon Bachman was here. I'm bugging you.
I was in favor of Mr. Rick Kershaw. I thought the gentleman, I looked at 3 different points: integrity, community involvement, and work ethic. He had all 3 for me. There was some answers on some other of the candidates that were mentioned, that ethics was a question on the reporting people. The guy's got great experience. He does it. He knows it. He's great in the community. The guy canceled his vacation to come back and help out with the community when there was a problem. I do like your gentleman as well. I think Mr. Hershaw by far had the most experience and could really do the job and hit all 3 categories I was looking for. Kind of more torn.
I did like Mr. DeBerg. He did have to have, he did seem to have more of the administrative function. However, the way he presented the information with the administrative function, he didn't go into a lot of detail. It seemed almost inflated. Maybe that was just a perception on my part. Maybe his responsibility with some of these things, the way he was presenting it, the way he was describing his responsibilities and his roles, seemed almost inflated. He might have, for example, done this once or a couple of times, so he's going to present it as he does this. And whether that's the case or not, I don't know. That's the way I read the way he was describing it. One thing that as an officer they teach us, trust your instinct, trust your gut, go with that 6th sense. And on paper he might have looked okay. The way he presented himself, the way he presented his experience, the way it came across to me, my gut told me he wasn't the right guy for the job. Mr. Hershaw seemed a little bit almost on the casual side, and seemed to lack as far as a little bit of the qualifications, which brings us down to between Matt and Aaron. I was frankly kind of surprised by the whole application and hiring process. I would have thought that it would have just been a promotion for Matt, but looking at everything objectively, looking at the qualifications, they're both amply qualified. Matt having the 18 years of doing the job, I thought he'd be a good fit. And I'm not sure how we go about looking at a replacement for Matt if the vote goes to put him into the superintendent position. I'd love to see Aaron stay on as the full-time worker. Between the 2 of them, I think they do an outstanding job in the communities. I don't think it's ever looked better.
We were very fortunate with the applications that we received. And obviously we narrowed it down to 4. I thought very good ones. Maybe some a little overqualified, maybe some with good heart and be a great fit. Aaron, I think the world of him, and I think that it'd be unfortunate if the village was to lose him. It's too bad that we couldn't share the title with the two of them and make them both, superintendent. Or maybe, one superintendent oversees this and the other one, this part over here. I don't know, I hope we don't lose either one of them. But I would like to thank those that took the time and filled out the applications and come in here and do the interview. With that said, if there's nothing else.
Well, let me ask you this, if I could, because since we've had some change on the DPW side, is it one individual who has stepped up to take the leadership on why the town's looking different, or is it because we brought in a new DPW worker and that's the person that's actually taking the initiative? There's a lot of concerns I have with Mr. Lane, and some of the questions that were answered, and one in particular, when it came out, if you knew a co-worker was doing something that was unethical or whatnot, how would you report it? And the answer comes out, I would talk to the individual. That's completely wrong. And that's what has to get changed in this village. So for me, that completely just disqualifies that. That needs to go to whoever the supervisor may be, if it's not the administrator or the council, but it has to be reported. In any business that you go to, if you see somebody, you have training, whether it's time reporting or whether it's stealing or whatever, you have to report it because you can hold yourself reliable. And to me, I think we're going to put somebody who could possibly put the village in a liable state. So that's why I ain't discouraging Mr. Mayor. I don't want to be in that position.
What was your recommendation?
I really didn't make one. I like Aaron, we're all over the place. Everybody's got somebody else. Aaron would be my recommendation. But with that said, I think that question is kind of a two-sided question. I mean, a man showing heart and compassion for a co-worker, and maybe he could right the ship if he was to talk to him. And he is jeopardizing his job by going back for that guy.
And that's the problem.
Well, I don't think that's the situation. I mean, I think if you were a police officer and you try to talk to your fellow police officer and not reporting it to your supervisor, you'd get in trouble. Same with my job. If someone got in trouble, I am required to report it. I'm not saying that's the only thing that was stood out for me. That's why I went with Mr. Hirschhoff, because all three things he hit on the nose. I like Aaron. I think Aaron's doing a great job. Those two are my ones that I'm struggling with the most. What you were saying did stick out in my mind. So.
And with that being said, the other three candidates answered the question correctly.
Well, and with that, you're asking, did somebody step up or, who makes the other one shine? I will say that Mr. Maine definitely has stepped up to the plate during this time period. But I also think Aaron has also. They complement one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they work fantastic as a team. I've had the opportunity to talk to both of them on multiple occasions. I think we're blessed with two great DPW workers that we have right now.
So, since we're in the discussion, you were more in favor of Aaron Mark?
Yes.
What was your second choice?
Aaron was my second choice.
And I'll be honest, I know we still got to go through this whole process, but my second choice would have been Mr. Crispin, so. I guess what I'm getting at, regardless of which way this vote goes, your guy's not getting the support, my guy's not getting the support. You got the support for a second.
I don't want to
say he's the second option, but he did interview very well, and he is a very hard worker.
And you can't take that away from Mr. Maine either, I mean, I see what Shannon and Tim see in Mr. Maine. And I guess with that said, I kind of go with the majority of this. And as far as working on budgets, all that stuff, like you've said in the past, we can train people, we can send them to learn how to do that stuff.
Right, and if you go with Mr. Berg, he's already trained and already knows it.
Well, we don't have 60 miles of road either, And I think he's more administrative, was the only thing that I didn't really care about him. I think with that you'd have to hire somebody else to go out in the field, because he's going to sit in the office and take care of the internet folks. I think they were too small for that. We need somebody out there that's 90% in the field and 10% in the office. discussion is over, then
And then if we do, let's say Matt did get it, then you guys will do another job right.
not necessarily. We can go ahead and take him from the status that he is now making full-time.
Yeah, but Aaron was hired at that time.
Maybe we can take him from part-time to full-time.
Temporary.
It was temporary, there you go.
Or if you turn down the motion, then you can leave Matt where he's at and make Aaron do the DPW.
Right.
And so to finish my discussion, I think if that's the direction this council wants to go, I'll look at the other two candidates, which I think we should be doing a disservice. I think that would be the better option, instead of sending the DPW supervisor.
I agree.
Council, are we good with the discussion? We have a motion on the floor, and if you'd repeat the motion, please.
Motion to appoint Matt Main as DPW supervisor based on qualifications and longevity with the community. It's made by Shannon and seconded by White.
There's nothing else, I'm gonna ask for a roll call.
McCafferty.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Baraco.
Nope.
Vic.
No.
Baldwin.
Yes. Now, we have to take and meet with Mr. Main. How do we want to go about approaching him with a salary? Shall I do it? You want to have the committee do it? Do we want to do a background test? Check?
That's part of the process, background, drug test, all that fun
I would
stuff.
agree.
So we'll go through with a background check, and then myself, maybe Mr. Light, if that's acceptable to the council, and see if we can come up with a salary that is acceptable to Mr. Main, and report back to the council for your acceptance. And with that said, we are also going to have to take and see if we can get Aaron to come on full-time.
And if I may, when you guys are talking about the monies, that we don't stop them off at Top Craft where our last DPW left. I do feel that individuals need to earn the raises and their salaries and stuff of that nature.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Right.
So what shall we do?
You want a number now?
We know what the number is that we were paying our last one. Why don't we see what he will work with and report back to council. I don't think this is something that Mr. White and I should...
First off, is the council accepting of Mr. Baldwin and I talking to him and talking to him about his salary?
Consensus, Mr. Barack?
Yes, sir.
And then we will report back. And at that time, we'll have Mr.
We'll do this at our next special meeting.
If we can. That's this Friday.
Do we need a motion to offer Aaron
Yes.
the full-time position? Then make a motion to offer Aaron the full-time position at DPW?
Support.
I'm looking right at you too. See how I do it. And you guys want to conquer with 2 birds, 1 stone?
Absolutely.
We'll report back next Friday. With that said, we're moving on to new business, which is the signature cards. And yes, oh, we did? I thought we didn't vote on it. I'm sorry, my bad. That's why you're there.
McCafferty.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Baraco.
Yes.
Vic.
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Now we're moving on to the signature cards, and you have something in your packet. Council needs to make a motion to appoint an acting secretary for bank accounts. It says in here that Maureen would be the best person to appoint because she is already responsible for these accounts. It should be someone in the office, and it shouldn't be a council member. So, if there's any discussion,
Say that one more time, please. I was looking at a piece of paper and I don't think I have it.
This is, council needs to make a motion to appoint an acting secretary for the bank accounts. And we have on here that Noreen would be the best person to appoint because she is already responsible for these accounts. And it should be someone in the office, not a council member, okay, for the acting secretary.
Who's done it in the past?
I think that was Jackie.
I'm okay with that.
Now, is signature cards, what are we signing?
That's, the signature cards is another, something different here. We'll get to that in just a second. So let's stay with, if we're good with that, I will make a motion that we appoint Noreen to be the acting secretary for the bank accounts.
Support.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
McCaffrey,
Yeah.
Blake,
Yes.
Baraco,
Yes.
Vic,
No.
Baldwin.
Yes. All right, now, the council needs to make a motion to add a council member to the signature cards. Tim Lane or Shannon should be their choice because they will still be on the council after the election. And then when the new council is seated, then they will get the other one to sign for it.
So this is, let me verify this is a temporary motion until the council is set, because normally this is made after the election is done. So what I'm saying is that if Mr. Lager or Ms. McCaffrey here gets the motion, they're only going to be doing it for about a month and a half until the new council comes on, and then you're going to have the president, vice president, Department of Public Works, planning, zoning, and then the signing of the cards. That's how we did it last time, that's how Mr. Baraco got on.
Right.
Right. You didn't see that, Mr. Baldwin, Tracy was verified. So this is a.
I thought there was always an overlap of one of the council members.
Well, the reason we do that is because of the election.
Right.
Yes.
No, I see what you're saying, Mark. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
there was always one council member that still is the check
Because
signer.
Mark's a signer, I'm a signer, we're both going out. We could possibly not, well, he's not be here, I could possibly not be here. We could be left blank, especially now that Jackie's gone. So even if it's temporary, or if Jackie's not on there, temporary.
We need one.
I would continue to sign until November, until the election. And the new council, who, one of these two would be on there, they'd just continue on. The new council would appoint just one person.
I thought that was automatically the president sits in the seat.
No.
I'll take it. Whatever you want to do. I'm on board. I follow.
It's up to you two.
We have to,
Make a motion, it's Mr. Lake.
Support.
Any other discussion?
Quicker.
Roll call vote, please.
McCaffrey,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Vic,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. And then once again, I am on there until the November election, and that I automatically come off, new council seats them. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, with that, everybody, all set. Santa Claus run, please.
Where is it?
Santa run, not Santa Claus.
Yeah. Nobody's chasing Santa.
In my house, he runs.
Hi, I'm Michelle Smith. I'm a spokesperson for Goodrich. We're planning to host the Santa Run and Rudolph Trot on December 8th from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're requesting the use of the park, the pavilion, and electricity. We're also requesting a road closure from the entrance of the park towards Seneca Street. Participants can enter the bus garage parking from M15 down Erie Street. The event is insured through Hudson Insurance Group. A burning permit will be obtained for a small contained fire. Emergency personnel, EMS, police, and fire department will be notified of the event as well. We are also looking for police presence at the corner of Hegel and Pontiac Ridge Road, which will be set up within gear. We'd like to have this event approved as soon as possible, so if you feel we're missing any information, please let us know. It's just like last year.
You're looking for our DPW to give you some barricades. We put them out there like we do with the Good Times in Goodrich.
Correct.
And then you guys put them out how you want them, and you're going to get contact the police.
Correct.
I'm just gonna say, we have nothing to do with contacting the sheriff's department. We'd have to contact them directly. Probably the best would be to contact the traffic sergeant. I'm not sure who that is right now, either that or one of the captains, either Captain Heath, which would likely be who you need to get a hold of, or Captain Tafoya.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll I'll make a motion to allow Gear to run their Santa Run and Rudolph Trot on December 8th as presented.
We also wanted to clarify because when I came in June 11th meeting, I had asked to use the park for bouncing the park. And you guys told us that we didn't need to come to the meetings and ask for that, but we just needed to call and make sure that the calendar was set. And then we tried to do that, and we were told then, again, we had to come back here and do the meeting. So I just wanted to know what the protocol was for that.
The procedure is you have to come to in front of the council and get the council's okay for that park.
Okay,
That park belongs to the residents. We
okay,
represent them. Good.
thanks.
With that, we have a motion.
Support.
I support.
Oh,
Anything else? Please.
McCafferty?
Yes.
Light?
yes.
Rocco?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
Yes. Next on the list is the ditching bucket request. And they're looking for $9.59 for a smaller bucket instead of a large one that they use. When they're doing your drains or catch basins, they're digging a very large hole around that basin. Requires, it's harder on the equipment, but it requires more material to go back in there when they're done. It would be a lot easier and cost effective if the bucket was requiring less material to go back in its place.
This is going on the regular back over here.
Yes. Questions, Council?
If you, but if you buy the used bucket, are you getting kind of the warranty and anything on it? It's basically just a piece of steel with pin that runs through it, so.
Right, I wouldn't imagine so. I don't see anything to spend twice the amount of money for a brand new bucket. When
Split sheet a little bit.
right.
So I'd make a motion to purchase the used Goodrich bucket, $450.
Support. You want to get a minute?
Any other discussion?
McCafferty?
Yes.
Light?
Yes.
Rocco?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
The next one is the approval of the engineering proposals, and I think that speaks for itself. We'll have to read it thoroughly. So if there are no other questions, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to approve the proposal set forward by Wade Trim as presented at the beginning of the meeting, October 8th at 6 o'clock.
Support. Anything else?
McCafferty?
Yes.
Light?
Yes.
Rocco?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Baldwin?
Yes. Last down on our little list here is the administrator vacancy position. I kind of brought this up to the council members. Our administrator's current contract expires on the 2nd of November. The 3rd of November, we do not have in-house an acting administrator. She would be working without a contract, and I don't know if working without a contract is something, number one, that she would entertain. Number two, how much does she want? Council, we need a plan B. We need somebody in-house. I know that we have somebody set at this table that could definitely fill in some of the voids, but she also has her own jobs to do. And I think that periodically, someone coming in and helping her until we can get somebody in there on a full-time basis, we should just have somebody in mind that we would like to have come in there. I have talked to Shirley Kaufman-Jones. She said that she would do it. She could do a couple, 3 days a week and only a few hours on those days, and as needed. The amount that she wants is still kind of up in the air. I'm going to guess somewhere between $60 and $80. an hour. And that's, I can't speak for it, it's just somewhat of a guess.
You need help, Tracy?
Some days.
Because my thought process on this is that, I don't know what the timeline's gonna be, but I don't see that position being made that long to where we're gonna get it wrong. Let me ask you this, what is pressing that's coming up right now that you would have to help out, that you couldn't handle?
I just have to get caught up on my work. You know, I would have to work over 40 hours, basically, on occasion, is your biggest concern.
When you guys have done that in the past, do you give yourselves comp time?
Yeah.
So is that something you'd be willing to do, if you would work past your 40 hours, give yourself comp time? So could you just handle that direction, Mr. Bowman, and have Tracy handle it?
And I will support that if you put in there, if she's overwhelmed, you do at least talk to Mrs. Jones to see if she could come in, and then the council, the new council, would have to work out an hourly wage. And like I say, the what I just threw out there, I can't speak for. I just kind of looked online, and you can go as high as $150 an hour without the money. I think that's something you can talk to her about and see if she can do that.
You'll be your own consultant?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, once again, too, they're contractual, you know, they don't, everything wrapped up into one, too, so.
No, I mean, we're looking at worst case scenario for that.
It's an option, we need to, I just wanted to discuss it, that's all.
No, if I agree with, as long as she's okay with it.
If you need somebody, you talk to council, and they can.
And you will take proper time coding so that come the month of December, you're not saying it's all comp time and we lose you?
We'll see what December brings, huh?
Or August, I would say August might be a better month.
Council, you're all set with that?
Yep.
Then I want to take and move on to our last round of public comment.
Thank you, Tracy. Mark?
Are you coming up, Doug, or are you going out the door?
I'm probably gonna come up first and then, 2 points real quick. You'll be talking about we've got a deadline coming up, November 2nd. I think you really need to speed this up and get it done. You know, when you guys talk about meeting, you can't meet this date, you can't meet that date. You know, you ran for the office, you need to step up and you had a meeting when Mr. Light wasn't here, and as long as you got a majority, you need to get it done. That would solve a lot of problems. Anytime there is falling behind in the office, and I don't see any problem with hiring extra help to get them caught up. And if by chance they want to fill in, I would pay them that, I'd rather pay money to the people that we have. Lastly, you mentioned doing background checks, and I think that is an absolute, that's not an option. When you had the attorneys here, he mentioned that they would take care of that. And I could tell you horror stories about not checking backgrounds in previous places, but that's an absolute. You need to check, not just that their work ethics, but you need to check to see if they're insurable, whether they have a valid driver's license. And you need to understand that you're in the grounds crew, if you lose that driver's license, you lose your job. You've been drinking enough to lose your driver's license. Because we've had people driving these snowplows 20 years ago, didn't have a license because they were suspended. And, they couldn't drive, they had to drive with somebody else in the truck. Somebody else had to drive the truck, they were a passenger. And it was funny, but it was not funny. You don't have a license, you don't get the job. You don't keep your license, you don't keep your job. But background checks are just absolutely, everything, all of your offers are contingent, and I think that's what you said originally on the background check. Thank you.
Just as a piece of information, Rich Rowling, I'm a resident of Mill Point Shores. The individuals that were out there that you saw were 2 members of the homeowners association and a volunteer. They were able to acquire a heavy-duty edger that they were using and so forth. I'm sure if they were contacted, the president of the homeowners association, to let them know about the MDOT situation, and I've called every day for a week or so forth, so they know that at least the council is working for them rather than just getting to a point of so much frustration that I want to do it myself. How many, if they know about the MDOT thing or not, they at least have a conversation or someone that they can speak to. And if it's something that you need in writing from the residents within the Mill Point Shores, I'm sure you could get a letter signed by a number of the residents saying that our council has been contacting you, MDOT, give them a name, give them somebody that they can contact at MDOT to show their dissatisfaction on not having it done and having to do it themselves.
There you go.
You guys have no clue, do you? It's an inside joke, and you're all set.
And a horse came into the bar.
There was really a horse that apparently went into
You
a
good?
bar. Not even a joke.
My name is Angie from Parks and Rec, and I just want to set some things straight that was incorrectly stated. Mr. Bracco said that we've only met, whatever he said about our meetings. We took 1 month off at Christmas for the Parks and Rec meeting, for the Parks and Rec committee. In the middle of summer, Mr. Bracco's group scheduled his year festivities on the third Thursday of the month for 3 months, which just happens to be when the Parks and Rec meet on the third Thursday of the month. Because so many of the people that are on the Parks and Rec are in his group, we did not have enough people to make any kind of a vote or decision at the Parks and Rec. So 2 meetings, we had both those meetings. We couldn't do anything, but we had those meetings. The third meeting we finally just canceled because there was no reason to have it because everyone was doing stuff with Mr. Bracco. I just want to make it clear, there's a campaign going on here between these two, and when Mr. Bracco makes accusations like that, I suppose it's supposed to play to him, and it's not proper, it's just not right. And the second thing, with our DNR grant, nothing changed. There was no hiccup with the railings on our walkway. They've always been in there. I don't know why you think there was a hiccup or why you think we're rushing it. We certainly are not rushing it. We were discussing types of railings. That's what we were doing. It's not because we rushed it, and it's not because it was something that we didn't do correctly. I just want to make that correction. We have also done other things in the Parks and Rec. It's not pleasant to stand up here and talk to you about them because we will get this kind of feedback. That's all.
I'm Linda Roughton, and I just wanted to say I was here the night of the interviews, and it's a very difficult thing to hire somebody and offer somebody a job with 15 questions. I've been in an office manager position, I've been in a hiring position, I've worked with human resources before, and literally some people are there 3 or 4 times for interviews. I know the difference is private industry versus governmental, but I think you did a good job with the questions, and some people are made for interviewing and some people aren't. So my hat's off to you guys because that's a hard decision.
Anyone?
Andy Shelton here, friendly neighborhood videographer. I just want to let you guys know, this will be the last month I'm able to do this for the council, so I had to take another job, so I'm not going to be able to do it anymore. So I'll keep my eyes open for anybody willing to come in and start doing it, but I can't think of anybody offhand right now. So if anybody else knows anybody that doesn't want to do it, it's up in the air. I do appreciate you guys letting me do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for being up front. If anybody knows of anyone, otherwise, new council.
Can we add that to the next agenda?
This is something that you guys will have to remember, because you're gonna have to come up with it. Anything else? Otherwise, I'm gonna turn it over to council comments.
I'll go first. In regards to the agendas for the Parks and Rec, if you want to know how many meetings they have, I did the same thing. I went onto our website and tells you how many meetings they had, which are very few. I'm not sure why non-profit organizations being brought up when it's not nothing to do with the village. We have 11 people on the Parks and Rec, which is the most of any Parks and Rec in the area. I am supportive of the Parks and Rec, and that's why I did hold 2 events when I was on Parks and Rec, so I'm all about it. But it seems to be the same continued problem of not getting right approvals before we read about it in the newspaper, things not moving forward. I would just encourage you guys to start from, if you don't have members coming to the meeting, start with a membership all the way up to the chair, and go from there.
Mr. Lake? Mr. Lake, you know Mrs. McCaffrey's gonna speak. Okay, the floor is yours.
First, Mr. Baldwin, this is your last regular council meeting. And it's been at times difficult to serve with you. We've had our differences online and offline, but nonetheless a pleasure. Not everybody has, good intentions, and not everybody has the candor. But you've always maintained composure, and you've always tried to be fair, and for that I am appreciative. You've shut me up a couple times, and I'm sure many people are appreciative of that. But thank you for your service to the village of Goodrich. Thank you for answering any question that I have, always calling me back, and even with disagreements, you've always been kind, courteous, respectful, and for that I am appreciative, and thank you, President Baldwin.
I guess with that, I'd like to thank the village residents. It's been my honor, my pleasure at times to be able to serve the village residents, and I hope I did a little bit of good. With that said, I guess the only thing I have to say is that when it comes time for picking someone for the administrator, I know that as much as a lot of you would like to see this done very quickly, I'm opposed to that. I will take my time, and if I'm not sure, I will not go along with it. We have some good candidates. I don't know the applicants. We'll see how it all plays out in the interview. But if you think this is an easy process, you need to look around some of your neighbors and how long it took them to fill that vacancy. It wasn't an overnight process. With that, thank you everyone. Thank you for your support. It's been my pleasure. Motion to adjourn.
Support.